You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Rush After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Rush After Show.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us here at AFTERBUZZ TV.
Exactly. Love that Foo Fighters.
Yeah, right. Love them. I wasn't even quite sure who that was.
Oh, really?
Shame on me.
Well, you should.
Shame on me.
I will give you many CDs and tracks to get up to speed.
It's my homework.
Exactly.
This is the Rush After Show. I'm Yvonne Maisonette, and I started a little too early, but that's okay. The music was playing. And
yeah, we can jam out to it for a little while.
Yeah.
No rush.
And yeah, exactly. I am here with
JB Zimmerman.
And this episode was another fun-filled episode.
I am a big fan of this show.
Yeah, I'm hooked now. I like it. I said that from day one, but it seems to be getting better and better.
Yeah, I mean, as things sort of unravel, we learn more and more. We got an intro into what sort of happened with Rush and why he is in the place where he is.
Exactly, and that's what we've been wanting to know. We've known, so it's kind of exciting to see that unfold.
Exactly. I mean, we made some predictions and stuff, and it's nice to see this story sort of take shape.
Yeah.
Still a lot of questions, which we'll get into,
and
obviously.
we have to have the questions. That's
of course.
That's what makes, It's funny because it starts off and, Rush is at a party and there's this scene. You're like, what is going on? Like he's being questioned by some cop and, and it turns out she was a stripper. And he's having fun. And,
classic Rush.
Yes, and it sets it up because he's just living this life and he's getting paid. He made $50,000 that night to basically he was doing drugs, he was partying with women, and then they have a guy there who's he's like, I'm about to get married, you can't let me die. He's on his third wife, and he gives the guy some cocktail. He has him snort something, and he's good. He's like, snort this. I gives him a shot, and that was that. And then he leaves, and he made $50,000.
Not a bad night at all. Not too shabby.
And this is kind of like, I think he's even realizing, like, I'm making money because he has this business card and he hands the guy the business card and it just has his number. And, the guy's like, well, how do I know who I'm going to call? And before he leaves, the stripper hands him a card and that card just has a phone number also. And he doesn't like that. Right.
Exactly. It's sort of a fun mirroring where he thinks he's so cool being like, oh, I'll give this to you and you will know who it is because it doesn't have a name on it. But then he sort of gets a taste of his own medicine,
right, and he's
so
like,
to
oh,
speak.
Strippers do this. So
exactly. He's like, ew, yes.
He's like, maybe I'm not so cool after all.
Yeah, not so cool, especially for a doctor.
Yeah, so he's a doctor, and he's like, okay, maybe I need to step up my game. So he tells Eve right away, I need new business cards, because,
Yeah, exactly. Not a good look.
Not a good look.
The stripper. I mean, because his card could easily be mistaken with a stripper's. I mean, there's very little difference. She had like little, looks like little fancy
decorations.
Yeah, like some type of picture.
But I thought the card is cool. If you ask me, I think just the phone number was kind of cool. I mean,
right. I mean, it's pretty badass, but at the same time, it's a little strippery.
And he needs it to be because what he's doing isn't necessarily legal, is it? I mean. Sometimes it's skirting on the edges.
Probably a gray area. I'm not an expert in the concierge doctor realm, but yeah, I mean, he does have a license, so I don't know what that means, like where you can practice.
I guess it's not illegal. He's just doing things for people.
Right. I mean, and when you're whenever you're in public, is there a doctor in the house? I feel like that, like helping people by using your own knowledge and sort of expertise.
So maybe his name isn't such a bad thing. I was thinking it was kind of cool to have the number.
Right.
And we'll get to that later when he finally gets his card because, throughout the show keeps asking for his card. And this is big thing, getting his new cards.
Exactly.
But then we have, last episode, Alex said to Rush, call your dad. I need help because he's in trouble. And I guess, Rush is taking his sweet time. Although, don't you remember in the last episode, he picked up the phone, but I guess maybe he wasn't calling his dad. At the end of the last episode, I thought he called his dad. But anyways, Laurel, Alex's wife, barges in and she's like, Rush, you need to call your dad. Make it happen.
Interesting. I know now that there are different characters. For a second, though, when Laurel came in, I thought it was Eve. I mean, they have a similar look.
The dark hair.
Right.
Yeah.
Obviously, both of them are stunning.
Right.
But yeah, it was interesting because they chose like two actresses that sort of have a similar.
Yeah.
I mean, going forward, you can notice many differences.
When she first walked in, I wasn't sure either.
Right.
Who is this? And it took me a minute. And he said Laurel, and even then I was like, oh yeah, okay, Alex's wife. Once she started talking.
Well, yeah, and then later in the episode, this sort of brought her back.
Yeah. So she got a little more play.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, obviously, Alex and Rush go way back to school. I wonder, because Laurel does seem sort of like a hard character, if she has a past with Rush. Maybe if she and Alex were dating back in the same school or something. It seems like she had a very aggressive...
Yeah, she has some history with him.
Right,
and we don't know if it's just that, that's her husband's best friend and he's constant trouble for her, because of what her husband ends up getting himself into all the time, or maybe there's something else. So she kind of strong-arms him, and it was funny because he was pretending to fall asleep. He told her he just took an Ambien, but he just snorted some Coke. So
right. Well, yeah, we didn't see, it's hard to tell what you're...
You don't snort Ambien, do you?
Well, you can. That's. I would love to talk about this, actually. I mean, not that I'm an expert in snorting Ambien.
You could crush up an Ambien.
But right, yeah. I mean, any pill like that, you can ingest that way. Oh. And obviously, I don't think certain drugs work as intended that way. But I know in general, it's like a faster way to uptake the chemicals.
Oh, so he may have just snorted an Ambien. That's funny.
Right, exactly.
So before he goes, he's like, I just took an Ambien, and he's like, so I'm about to fall asleep. And he was like, I'll call my dad if you tell Sarah what I did, because I did something good.
Right.
She's like, Sarah has nothing to do with this. And he's like, tell her, and then he counts down as he's about to fall asleep, and then he pretends to fall asleep, which I thought was very funny, because then, he wasn't really sleeping. He's funny. He's a sense of humor.
Yeah. Well, no, I was just going to say it's interesting about the snorting. Like, say Ambien is something that's not that threatening. I mean, say you can't sleep and your mom gives you an Ambien, you're not going to be like, oh, God, I'm taking drugs.
Oh, I guess, yeah.
Well, it seems like Tylenol.
It's not like Tylenol PM, is it? Isn't it like...
Right. I mean, it's similar to Tylenol PM. It's a lot stronger.
How do you know
That's why it's
about Ambien.
Ambien? Well, I just know what it is. I mean, you watch the commercials with the rolling
I
hills.
thought it was like a strong, no drug, but maybe it's like Tylenol.
Well, no, I
PM.
think like Lunesta. I think it's one that's abused, and that's why it's sort of got a stigma. But I'm just saying, in general, things that are prescribed that we pharmaceuticals we sort of associate as stronger Tylenol, which kind of dumbs them down a little bit.
Right.
And it's interesting, just the way that you take them can make them seem more or less sketchy in a way. For instance, if someone was had trouble sleeping and was prescribed Ambien and they were just eating them and swallowing it with water. No red flags.
Oh, but snorting.
If they were crushing him up and
so we'll have to
doing
see,
lines of them.
Maybe he's crushing up all kinds of different things. We have no idea what. I'm just assuming it's cocaine, and who knows? He could just
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Just the way you ingest it makes it changes the game completely. Which is interesting because it could technically not be that bad, but it's a very druggy way to do it, I guess.
Yeah, maybe that's how he did. Maybe he snorts everything.
Maybe. I mean, he must have just a lot of boogers, I guess.
Snorts everything. So anyways, that was the little thing. So he's like, I'm going to call my dad. You're going to tell Sarah I did something good. And then we get a phone call from Max Zarella. He's in the psych ward. He's an actor. He's, I guess, maybe a has-been actor. He's in the psych ward, and he's been put in on a 5150, which is an involuntary hold, and they do that if you say you're going to kill yourself. So he said it on set, and that
He may have.
It just made me think of something with the director, but we'll get back to that. But so and he's telling Rush like, "Come on, you got to get me out of here." And he's like, "Are you on your meds?" So he knows him. They're obviously friends. He's like, "You got to get me out of here." He was in the middle of filming a movie, and I guess he said he was gonna kill himself, and they put him in.
Almost. He apparently had one more scene to do.
Yeah, one more scene. He gets thrown in, and he's like, "I'm like John Travolta right before Pulp Fiction."
Exactly.
And I thought that was great. I'm like, "Okay, we got you.
Just okay.
You're on the brink.
Boom. I know exactly where you are.
Exactly." And so then he takes him. He's like, "Fine." He begs him to bail him out. He's like, "I'll give you not bail him. Check him out." Because he's a doctor, I'll give you 10 grand. And the guy's like in a robe with his butt hanging out, completely naked, naked
right.
underneath. It's kind of funny. And then he's like, okay, fine. He thinks that's it, but then he gets a call from the agent, and the agent's like, you need to keep him, and I'll pay you $25,000, but he can't come right now. You need to keep him till the end of the day.
Right. Well, it's interesting because Rush sort of signed him out on the pretense that he had this plan. He was going to take him to his manager.
Straight to the manager.
And then first thing that happens, Max and his manager part ways.
Dumps him. Yeah. And his manager dumps him, and then the agent's like, you need to keep him and bring him at the end of the day for the final scene.
Right.
So now Rush is stuck with Max for the day, and he still has
he's got to sort of play a babysitter.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I feel like he plays that role a lot. I mean, as a doctor, you're sort of a caretaker in general. Right. But it's interesting to see Rush's character, who's sort of a badass, like solo, like lone wolf.
Right.
Have to constantly care for people, and it sort of throws a wrench into his whole machine.
And it's kind of weird because although he seems like a loner, he's kind of good at caring for people, because although he messes up with Sarah, he does care. He's good with Eve. I would say he's pretty good with Eve. He might, abuse her a little in some ways,
right.
Having her do everything, but and he was pretty good with Max too, and I kind of liked to see that, like he the way he dealt with Max was pretty kind of calm. He didn't really freak out. He's kind of like a big brother, would you say?
Right.
Like,
yeah, very big brother, very like a really, really chill dad.
Yeah.
It's like more of a brother than a dad. Maybe like a half brother who's playing a dad role.
Yeah, big brother, like 10-year
right.
older brother, because he totally looked out for him, but they had fun together. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. And then they get called to the Token House, which is like kind of maybe like Soho House, but maybe even fancier, fancy like private.
Yeah, private club. Basically.
Yeah.
With masseuses, obviously.
Masseuses.
Yes, exactly.
And the masseuse has pink eye, and they're like, oh, it's because pink eye. And he's like, pink eye? That's not an emergency. And he's like, just come. And pink eye turns out to be gonorrhea. So there's gonorrhea going through the Token House.
Yeah, not a good thing to have about the business.
All over, like, I don't know how many masseuses, but they've all got gonorrhea. And it was kind of funny because Douglas Russell, I guess he's the owner of the club, is the guy who called him in. He's like, at the end, Rush is like giving them, shots for their gonorrhea. And he has to have them drop their underwear and all, what a fun job for him, I guess.
Right.
But, then it turns out Douglas, he's like, you drop your pants now because we need to find out who the host is. And it was him. And he's like, I'm a married man. He's like, well, all these women seem to think they're your only girlfriend.
Right.
So.
Yeah, he sort of went from the end and kind of went backwards and figured it out, which is cool. Because I like when they do sort of throw like an extra twist at the end. It makes me feel like Rush's character is smarter than the audience,
Yeah.
Like he's a step ahead and he's figured out something that like we're not even really thinking about.
Yeah.
I mean,
because he had to go and come back because he's like, you need to round up all the other girls, and then he's like, it's gonorrhea. And then in the lobby, Max was talking to one of the girls and he's like, yo, don't interrupt me. I'm talking.
He's like, no, believe me, you're better off.
You need to come. You don't want to mess with that. So,
yeah, there is a situation, no good. Abandon ship.
So that was funny, and then he went back and kind of had all those girls lined up. How many were there?
There were quite a few. I mean, there's probably like 10 in the hallway. They shot it in a way so it seemed like a bunch more.
Yeah.
But, he did notice a second of the manager and one of the girls, the first girl he looked at.
Right, that close moment.
Right, exactly. And at the time, I noticed it, but I didn't think anything of it really. I guess I thought more about him in that one particular.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. You don't really get that until the very end, you know, what that little moment was
Right,
about.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's nice how they sort of plant these little seeds. So at the end, with the payoff where he's like, "No, actually, I know that it's you.
You're the
like,
host."
Let's not
He's like,
play
"You're-"
games.
Yeah.
It's you."
Drop your pants, and you probably want to get your wife checked too. And he's like,
Right.
"No, me? Why me? Never." And it's like, "No, it's you."
Yeah, just I'm a doctor.
And then he
We
drops
don't
his
have to...
pants, and he's like, you know, with his butt out and getting a shot, and he's offering Rush, "So to keep this quiet, can I give you 6-month membership? And how about a year?" And he's like, "No, this place is not necessarily."
Yeah, not my scene.
Yeah. And then, you know, as Rush is leaving, there's the mystery man who we don't know who this guy is. He's from Eve's past, and he is, obviously, Rush seems upset to see him. And, you know, the guy's asking, "How's Eve doing?" And then later, when Eve brings the medication back to the toucan house, is that what it's called? Yeah, the token house.
Yeah, the token.
It's a token house. You know, she runs into him, and whatever he did to her, he was apologizing to her. We do not know who this guy is, but she's very upset, like, because when he tried to touch her, she pulled back. And
Right, exactly. I mean, he mentioned, the first thing he said was, like, when we worked together. So obviously, they had a sort of similar relationship with Rush and Eve. Unclear if it was in the same profession, like the doctor thing. I mean, it would make sense that they would have been.
Yeah.
But at the same time, how she responded made it sort of confirmed that they had more than that relationship.
Because he said work, and she's like, "Work together."
Right.
So, but I can't even imagine I can't even begin to try to figure out what that was about.
Exactly.
Can you?
I mean, my guess is that it's similar, like, he might be a doctor or something like that, where she was his assistant. They got into a romantic relationship. And I think that he was doing, like, basically a Rush clone, you know, partying all the time, got out of control.
Something
and
happened, and he...
Yeah, I think he abused her in some way, like, physically.
Yeah.
Because just the way she reacted was, like, so,
It was
like,
serious.
do
Whatever
not touch
happened
me.
was,
like, we are not cool.
Yeah. And his apology was, like, she never wants to see him again.
Right. And he mentioned he's in a program and, you know, sort of getting better. Alcoholics Anonymous seemed to be the steps he was going through.
He was on step 7, was it? Or 9? Step 9 to go make amends with people.
The reconciliation, of course.
Yes. So then you don't even know if it's sincere. Well, I guess it is sincere, but you have to do that as part of your program.
Right.
So it's just kind of something he had to go do.
Exactly.
Would he have done that?
Probably not. I mean, it seems like he is getting a lot out of the program. Granted, we don't know who he is at all or what he's done.
I don't think they even said his name. He's the mystery man right now. So that'll be an interesting development.
Exactly.
And so then, you know, they're leaving the token house and a paparazzi swarms Max. And, you know, Rush is like, "Oh, get back, I'm his doctor," you know.
Yeah, I love the running line of, "He's exhausted, he's exhausted."
Yeah, he's exhausted.
Like, "Oh, I'm exhausted, I'm exhausted."
I'm just exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy. That was really funny. And the phone rings, of course, and it's his dad. So what does he do? He takes the call with all the mad noise in the background. His dad's like, "What's with the noise? You know, we're supposed to meet up." And he's like, "Okay, my place for dinner at 7. And is this before he knows? Because then he knows he has Max. He has to take Max to meet the director. But so he doesn't really know he's going to keep him all the way till the end, you know. But then there's another wrench thrown in a plan because he thought he was going to bring him at a certain time, and then they called, "No, you have to take him to meet the director because Max needs to apologize to the director."
Right, before he can get back on set, which is why Rush is babysitting him this whole time.
Yes.
So, I mean, Rush tried to mediate the whole thing. It didn't seem to go well, though. I'm surprised that the way that it sort of was handled led to them being okay. I mean, he started breaking up the fight between them, and then when the director sort of made a lash out at Rush, he was not having it
and I kind
all.
of like that because I didn't really see the director at first. You know, he was like, "He's an ass" or whatever, and I was like, I don't really know what's going on to make this director so mad at Max. And, you know, he's from Iceland, and he's doing this American film, I guess, or a film in America, and Max is threatening, you know, by him not finishing, you know, he's risking this director's career. And Rush is the one who's like, "Well, you need Max more than he needs you because because the director's like, they gave me all this money, you know, not you, me." And then it was kind of cool when Rush got pissed off and kind of
Right,
the
yeah, just
director
sort of
know.
like brought the reality back to the
Yeah.
situation. It was like, you guys need to check yourselves,
Yeah.
finish this up.
And
'Cause-
this anger, we don't really know exactly what happened between the director
Right.
and
it's true. I mean, they're both artists, the director and the actor, so it's natural for them to clash somewhat
Yeah.
on the vision. If it's, I mean, they both have opposing views, so I'm sure that happens a lot.
I guess. It's
But
pretty
yeah,
heated.
exactly.
And then I'm like, okay, he wants him to apologize for what? We never got that, you know, and maybe, who knows, maybe that's coming next. I think it's over, that whole part, but we never really got why. But what I kind of think is, you know, the director, maybe he put him in there or something, like, because, you know, he said he had to kill himself and that's part of the scene. And anyways,
Right.
so I guess we can get to that part, but I guess we should take a quick moment to, you know, thank the viewers for
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, keep watching us, and thank you for, you know, downloading on iTunes and watching the show.
Absolutely. Please, if you like the show, rate and review it. That's how we keep the lights on here, and we can keep bringing free content to you guys that way.
Yes, and we love doing it. So
Definitely, yeah.
So I think, okay, so Max goes on the ledge. So Dr. Rush is ready to go, and he goes and he looks and he sees Max on the ledge about to jump. And mind you, his dad did just call and say, okay, my house at 7. So now he has to get Max back to the
Well, yeah,
set.
yeah. I mean, first he's got to grab him from committing
Yeah,
suicide.
so he's got to, and he has to meet his dad, and that's pretty important because he's going to help his friend. So he's like, you know,
yeah, we
looking at
gotta
his
go.
watch,
like,
like,
A, don't kill yourself. B,
not now.
Yeah, this is the worst time.
You can. He even said, he's like, man, I have to be somewhere.
Yeah.
And so,
Just
anyways,
really cutting in my plans. You trying to kill yourself.
so
Here.
funny.
Cut
and
it out.
And so that scene when he's hanging on the ledge, I think I can fly, and you know, I'm gonna learn to fly. And he gets him off. He carries him, pulls him off. And then when Max gets off the ledge, he acts like nothing happened. He's like, let's go. Let's.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you're late. Let's go.
Yeah. Throws him his bag and come on. And that was kind of funny. Like you.
Right. I mean, I was kind of thrown by that. I was like, whoa, he like switched so fast. I mean, then we learned that he's bipolar, and that's the medication he should have been taking.
Right.
Because he's an artist and wants to get into his roles. He doesn't like doing that because
He feels he can't be a good actor when he's on the meds. 'Cause He
Right.
said he's too flat. He's.
Exactly. I think the line was he's like, or one reviewer said he was like Keanu Reeves after a lobotomy.
That's another one where you're like, we
God,
got
yeah,
you there.
that's just okay.
Okay, so don't take your
Descriptive,
meds.
yeah.
You can't take your meds while acting. So I thought that was pretty funny. And so, yeah, his reaction after that was crazy because you're like, you know, this is pretty, you know, serious. You almost jumped off the ledge and then you hop off, you know, and
Yeah,
nothing ever
just
happened.
180.
There's that bipolar, I guess. Who knows? But so then he has to get to his dad's house, and now he has to babysit Max. So he stops over to see his drug dealer in Brentwood. His drug
Of course,
dealer's
yeah,
like,
has to get high before
Yeah.
he sees his dad.
yeah, and he's like, "Why are you meeting me? Why do you have me meeting you here in Brentwood? It's not a safe place for me to meet and do drugs. I guess Brentwood maybe can get caught easier." And then
Well, yeah, the neighborhood watch, I imagine,
Yeah.
is pretty. A lot of
It's tough.
housewives, a lot of people.
you would think Brentwood would be a safe place to sell drugs, actually, because who's looking for that in Brentwood? You know what I mean? It was kind of weird that he feels. I would think that's a place you can just.
I don't know. I feel like within those super nice neighborhoods, there are always like people looking
For people
Maybe
who don't
yeah, maybe
belong.
there's exactly. I mean, that's what probably a lot of cops too. I mean, in the nicer
Maybe.
neighborhoods, there's not as much crime, so the cops have less to do. They could be just circling the
that's a
block.
good point, because I would just think they'd be like, whatever, but you're right. If they see some guys in a car, it'd be weird to them, whereas in the
Right.
city, it's just like everyone's doing weird stuff.
Yeah, just
So-
business as usual.
So Rush tries to actually push Max onto the drug dealer. Like, can you babysit him? You know, I have to go see my dad. Can he hang with you? And I'll pay you $5,000. He's like, man, I'm gonna make $10,000 where I'm going. He's like, but I really need you. He's like, no, people rely on me. I can't be late because he's a
Right.
drug dealer. You can't stand people
A very
up.
successful one. 10
And
10 grand.
apparently-
That's
and
pretty
it looks
good.
like he's starting to do really well because he's turning down the $5,000. No, I have to be somewhere, and he's trying to be reliable. He's kind of doing the same thing, you know, with his drugs.
Yeah, he's a very business-oriented
Yes.
drug dealer.
Yes, and so I thought that was kind of cool. It was like a little moment, like, oh, this guy isn't just some chump. Like, he's also making big cash, and so he can't babysit.
Yeah, I it's hard for me to take him seriously in sort of other roles, just because I always see him as Spanish from Old School.
Oh, Old School! I love Old School. I watch this.
But yeah, I mean, he can pull it off. It's just I love that movie so much. I've seen it so many times. I just want to scream Spanish every time.
You can't shake it.
I cannot shake it.
So then he's like, I guess he tells Rush, you're not my best client. You're my favorite, but you are not my best client.
Right. I mean, which I, sort of agree with. Rush in a few episodes back kept saying like, don't charge me. Like,
right.
Granted, he got him out of a jam.
He did.
Pretty bad. So I think there's a give and take. I feel like they're more friends.
Kind of, yeah.
With benefits, I guess, if you can say that. I mean, it's not the same thing.
Yeah, they give each other breaks. And
right.
It's cool. It seems if it stays that way, it'll be cool, and hopefully won't call in another big favor like that one, because But he didn't watch his friend for him. I was like, aren't you going to call your card? You owe me. But he didn't. So it looks like he's going to have to take Max with him to dinner with his dad. So he just tells Max, he's like, don't say anything. Just be calm, be cool. And what I thought was really cool is, Max is crazy, going back and forth. You don't know, but he behaved himself at dinner. Did you notice that? Like
he did. He was very polite.
And he was, acting crazy throughout everything. But when he went to, Rush's dad's house, Mr. Warren Rush, he totally behaved. Yeah,
he had the nicest manners. He was very polite to both hosts. I mean, especially, I guess
Corinne.
I guess it's his stepmom.
Yeah, the new young wife. I'm assuming, second family.
And it's interesting that it seemed like they had not met yet.
Yeah.
I mean, later we figure out that they have a kid together. So Rush has a half sister, but she doesn't know about him.
Yeah, because Karina's like, Rush, it's really great to meet you, and he's like, really? So obviously, whatever happened between him and his dad was a few years ago. And it was pretty serious.
Yeah, 6, I think 6 years mentioned. Ago. Yeah.
So, in the meantime, that little girl looked about 6, right?
Right. I mean, as she could be a 6. She could pass a 6.
She could pass a 6. So, they sit down, and it's funny because Rush's dad, Warren, feels, whatever it is, he feels like his son was wrong. Something happened in the ER, and he threw his son out. And Rush was like, I was the best doctor there, and you ambushed me, and you got me out, but I was the best doctor on the floor.
Right.
And his dad was like, but you weren't. So maybe he was high?
Yeah, that's my guess, is that he was just classic Rush on sort of a cocktail of drugs, but still performing, to Rush's standards.
Right.
I assume that something catastrophic happened where people were rushed into the hospital. He tried to save them, and I can only assume that lives were lost, and that's why there was some review and they found out that he was high, even though he was good enough, or not good enough, I guess.
He was capable.
Very capable.
So do you think his dad, like it sounds like, okay, the dad feels like I did what I had to do, but maybe the dad threw him out and lives were lost because of that. Because this is what I'm thinking. Rush is also angry. It's not just the dad. Rush is pissed that his dad threw him out. And, this is conjecture because I don't really know what occurred. But I'm just thinking that if the dad threw him out, but maybe lives were lost because of that, or, how each person views it. Because maybe the dad's like, you're high, get out of here. And he's like, but people need their lives saved. So it could go either way.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, he could have, if a crisis like that was happening and the dad found out or something, saw his pupils, was like, you're high, get out of here, and then they were short-staffed, and because of that, people died or something. Yeah, very interesting. I wonder if I was the dad.
Yeah. Ooh. If you just noticed he was high, possibly, but he was doing his job. I mean, that's a tough situation, right?
Tough situation. I mean, I don't know. It would depend on being there. I feel like it's irresponsible for him to know that a doctor is obviously inebriated and handling people's health. I feel like that's just irresponsible.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think Rush could handle it. Personally, I think Rush is good enough.
He's always high.
Right, exactly. he can do it. He lives on
right. He's never not high. If he wasn't high, then you need to kick him out. because then he probably wouldn't be able to function. So yeah, I think it's tricky, and it depends like how many people were there, and you know. But I guess at the end of the day, the moral thing to do would not. I mean, operate someone's life is in the hands of someone who's high. So maybe neither of them are. I mean, Rush would be probably to blame.
Right, but at the same time, it seemed like the dad just straight up threw him out and sort of excommunicated him. Where, I mean, even if the right call was to, like, that night to be like, you know, like, you have to leave or something, he should have gotten him help, or he shouldn't have just cut off ties.
Yeah.
Especially to the point of not letting his family know that he exists.
That's
I mean,
ridiculous. Because the little girl comes out and she's like, Daddy, who is this? And he's like, this is
just a friend. Yeah, it's your brother.
And he's treating his son like a street drug addict. You know, like the kind that come and steal. I mean, he's a functioning drug addict, and he's treating him, not that he should or shouldn't, I'm not going to say, but he's treating him like he's a derelict, or he's like...
Right. I mean, he's basically dad to his dad. Like,
yeah.
Very close to just being like, you don't exist to me.
So do you think, from what you see, that the dad is an ass and he's wrong, or do you think that he has every right to expect his son to, you know...
I mean, I think it's shades of gray. I think they're both very stubborn, and so that's why they haven't really been able to work this out. Not knowing the full details of what happened, it's hard to pick sides. But I think they were both sort of in the wrong. Rush probably screwed up by... you know, being Rush and partying when he should have been working. But at the same time, the dad seems super cold and not willing to...
Not even hear it.
Exactly. I'm not sure what happened to Rush's mom, too. So that may be part of it. I don't know.
There's a big backstory.
Right, yeah.
And then he tells the story how he knew Rush was going to be a doctor because he'd cut himself in the shed and he was in there stitching himself up, and how precise he was. And that's this, you know, Warren is saying, this is how I knew he was going to be a doctor, is because he cut his hand and he stitched himself up. And it was interesting, but the dad was throwing jabs at him. And basically, finally, Rush is like, look, I'm here because I asked Alex to do something for me. And the dad's like, well, I'm very fond of Alex. And then he was like, you know, I asked him to do something for me, and it was against, you know, the rules, and now his job is on the line. And the dad is like, well, I love Alex, but if he chose to do something unethical, then I'm sorry, I can't help him. The answer is no. And that's like...
And he said not just unethical, but unethical to help you.
Yeah.
Like, so it's weird because for a normal parent, if that was the case, if their friend did something unethical just by themselves, that would mean less than if, you know, that should be a reason to help because it was going back to Rush. Like, it was a favor to your son. Right. That's why he's in trouble.
And
like,
it was ultimately to help someone who needed blood. I mean, it wasn't like, Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they're not killing babies here. They're saving lives.
Saving lives. Doesn't matter how you're saving them. You're saving them. Legally, illegally, if there's such thing as saving a life. You know, when you steal blood, I mean, you saved a life.
Exactly. I mean, it's... I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I don't know how much the dad was not willing to do it just because of not wanting to give in to Rush and sort of teach him a lesson. But yeah, he just seems like a very hard person to please.
Yeah, and I'm thinking as the story develops, he probably has some reason. There's something where the dad has some reason. He's probably not as ice cold as he seems.
Right.
But ultimately, he tells Rush no. You know, Rush is hurt. You can tell he's hurt that his he can't say that I'm your brother to the little girl. Her name's Lily. And, you know, and then the dad, he was like, I can't believe she doesn't know that she has a brother. And he's like, well, I was going to tell her tonight. But I guess he was expecting his son to come say, I'm sorry, Dad. And he was like, but I'm not. And then he realized his son was high. He said, but in the state you're in, you know, he brings his high ex-actor friend or, you know, has-been friend. And they're both high, and the dad can see this clearly. So he's like, I was going to tell her, but not in the state you're in. So, you know, he probably has some reason, you know. As a dad, your kid's on drugs.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that he noticed that Rush was high. I mean, granted, Rush did like a cocktail of drugs.
Right.
At least 3 that we saw. But he was so aware of that. And Rush, when he was leaving, sort of like stuck it to him and said, well, you should look at your wife. Like, she's probably on Adderall. She didn't eat anything. Like, blah blah blah.
She didn't touch her food.
Exactly. And so it's interesting that he was sort of like, oh yeah, he's overlooking that, and it seems like for his relationship with Rush, he either keeps him at like a way higher standard or something. There's some relationship there that he's sort of blinded to the rest of the world and reality.
And it'd be nice to see how this whole thing develops. I'm curious because there's a lot more. So anyways, he tells his son no, which is a big blow because, he asked Alex to put his neck on the line, and now it looks like he's going to lose his job. And then he goes to tell him, like, oh God, I'm sorry, Alex. My dad said no. He's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Your dad made a phone call, I got my job back, And that was kind of a funny moment.
Yeah, that was a surprise. Why do you think the dad changed his mind?
Well, I think mainly because he likes Alex, and maybe that's just a little showing a little softness that he cares, but I kind of think he did it for Alex. Like, he's not a complete ass, I guess. That's what that comes down to. I don't know.
Right. Do you think that the Adderall comment at the end that Rush said influenced it at all?
That's a good point. And maybe it did, like, okay, maybe I'm not perfect either. Like, your life, you're looking at me to be this perfect kid. He's disappointed that his son doesn't have a practice. When he first got to the house, where's your practice? Where do you live? Oh, you live in a hotel. So where's your practice? He's like, it's kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
I take it on the road. And he didn't like that. So I think that maybe that comment did kind of make him go, look, I'm looking inside, like, I'm not perfect either. None of us are. Alex isn't perfect. Let me make the call. It's an easy thing. And it also lets us know that he's not a complete dick. He's
exactly. There is some heart inside.
Somewhere deep down inside. And I have a feeling he's not going to be such a bad guy after all. I think he wants the best for his son, and maybe he's trying to play hardball with him because he wants the best for him. And you can't always do what your parents want. That's another thing, He's doing what he wants, and that happens.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many parents that sort of set these almost impossible level, like, expectations, and they put so much pressure on their kids when they don't perform or they want to go in a different direction. That can be really tough.
Yeah.
And he's definitely playing that role super hardcore, but it's interesting to see that little spark of something else. Like, he did that unexpected move and did call pretty much right away because he went, it seemed like
right away,
right to
it was right after
bar.
And we also have to talk about this is I think he did it right after he got rid of Max. He took Max to go shoot his final scene. He gets him there on time. Max is nervous, and that was kind of cool because they spent the whole day together. He gets him on the set, and Max wants to turn around. He's like, come on, man, how about I stay with you? You do your scene. And he does the scene, and the funny thing is the scene he does is a scene of him about to jump off a ledge. And he's doing the same thing he did when he was really going to jump off the ledge with Rush, and Rush was laughing.
Yeah, just
so
like, oh God, I didn't notice.
Maybe he wasn't really going to jump?
No, yeah, I think 100%, well, not necessarily practicing, but getting the real emotions. Yeah, like the method acting of getting in the moment, which is really cool. I mean, it was great to see sort of, again, something I didn't notice while watching it during.
Right.
But when they sort of went back, it was a cool moment of like, oh, like there's like another layer that we are just revealed now.
That was brilliant. I thought it was brilliant because I loved that scene, and then that kind of explains why he just hopped over the ledge.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
let's go, man. He's like, I'm good. I think I got my character now. I think I know what it's like to almost jump off the ledge. He was getting in character, and maybe he is really on the brink of his comeback because he killed that scene. He did it. It was very realistic. He nailed it. The director was happy. And then...
Yeah, I mean, everybody was like applauding. They're like, yes,
but then,
Oscar.
Oscar, he's back. Give him an Oscar. But then he punches the director out in the end. And I still don't understand what the hell for. What did the director do to him? He was a dick, but did he need to be punched?
Well, yes and no. I mean, they say he's an asshole. Obviously, this is the only episode we've seen with him.
Right.
But it seems like he's that type where it's, when it's bad, it's all your fault, but when it's good, it's like, it's thank God I led you to that place.
I guess so, yeah.
So it's more like we're done, but you just
Right.
This is how I
He's
feel.
like, I'm
right
amazing.
Now.
I did a great job, everyone.
Yeah.
Because he said we, and he's like we.
Yeah,
like, that was
exactly.
all me. So he nailed the scene, and I thought that was really pretty cool. Just the way that whole thing developed, and then he goes and.
Yeah, and they tied it back when everybody was crowding around after the punch. He was like, "Oh yeah, he's exhausted. He's exhausted."
That was so funny. He's like, "I'm exhausted."
I'm
like,
exhausted.
You know, that's a good excuse. You know, anytime you're feeling frustrated, you could just say that. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna quote that all day now.
I might
That's
use
my
that.
go-to.
You can get angry. Piss
Just, I'm
people off.
exhausted, people.
I can-
Get away.
Yeah,
I'm exhausted.
I'm
No
sorry.
paparazzi.
I'm exhausted. I'm 2 hours late to work. I'm
Pretty
just
good
tired.
out. Pretty good
I
out.
think that might work, huh? He's
Yeah.
exhausted. And then, so then it's funny because he drives him and then drops him back off at the psych ward. That was funny.
Right. He's like, that was good. You should definitely be here though.
Yeah, he's like, this is where you need to be.
Yeah.
Take your meds, you know. But it was a really fun kind of day, actually. When you look back, it was a kind of a fun day. It wasn't anything too. I mean, the gonorrhea girls.
Yeah,
the
I mean,
party. This was a fun day for him, right?
Right. I mean, it was sort of lighter in terms of the intensity of
Yes.
everything happening. We've seen him, almost be killed. But it was nice to sort of mix that up with some backstory and
Yeah.
some.
The only kind of serious
just
thing
learning
was
about
his
the
dad
characters,
and-
really,
yeah.
character development.
Yeah. So I guess we can get into predictions.
Absolutely.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So what do you think? I mean, obviously, we're going to have to see the Mystery Man next episode, right? The Mystery Man who came to apologize. Do you think there's going to be more to that? I mean, obviously there is, but what do you expect?
I don't know if we're going to see him next episode, but probably later in the season, he's going to come back and really start to sort of revive something. It seemed like too big of a thing. They had him meet Rush, and then they had him meet Eve again, for us not to figure out what really happened.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they're going to ever use flashbacks or anything. I mean, we've sort of learned everything we know just as it unfolds,
Right.
sort of guessing why, the confrontations here and there.
It'd be interesting to see because we did have one flashback that I remember, and that's when Rush was remembering his moment with Sarah.
Oh, right.
So I'm curious. That's a good point. Will we have some flashbacks, or how are we going to find out about that? And then I guess we'll see more. Alex has his job back. He's the man again.
Of course, he can quit chain smoking
Yes.
cigs in his garage,
Yes.
which is nice.
So that'll be good. And so I guess we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, since this episode was sort of a backstory, like, quieter one, I really think that the next few episodes might be ramping it up, and again,
Another violent, dangerous, maybe something.
yeah, more of a hostile situation
Yeah.
that he has to outthink his way out of.
Cool.
Definitely.
So, I mean, make sure to, check us out, like us, and if you want to find us on social media, I am at Yvonne Maisonette on Twitter, and you.
I am at JB_Zimmerman on Twitter and Instagram.
Thanks for watching, and catch us next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.